Hey, it's your boy, Sergeant Hunkton Henshins. So today we are talking about episode 45 of Revice. It is insane when you think about how quickly these shows go by, and that Revice is ending while Don Brothers is like just getting into like near its middle part, or through its first little arc or whatever. Um, it's just really crazy to think about. And especially with we'll have another whole video about Gitsu. Oh my god, Gitsu, whatever. But anyway, so Revice 45. Really good episode, I thought. Not as awesome as last week, but still a really good episode. Um, so instantly we kick off the episode with Hiromi, Hana, and Tamaki looking for Oteka. They know that he survived and came out as one of those bubble things from Gifu's, Gifusi dimension. Anyway, sorry about that. Probably loud. Anyway, so they confront him, and he's instantly put in custody. He actually first shit talks Hana and Tamaki and says they look ridiculous in their clothes, as if the dead man's didn't already look ridiculous, which he's still wearing the dead man's clothes, so whatever. Um, and they basically tell him to shut up. Actually, the first person to get to him is Tamaki, and he literally almost decks the dude, which makes sense. He's done a lot to hurt Tamaki. Um, and so Hana stops him, and that's when he talks shit. And he says, "Were you gonna put me in custody? You think I want to be alone there?" She goes, "No, I don't." He's like, "What?" She goes, "I don't think so." He's like, "Well, you playing hero?" She goes, For now, I know that once this is all said and done, it's possible I'll be in there right next to you." So I like that Hana can understand that, like, yes, she's doing something good now, but she has, like, still sins to atone for and crimes to, atone for. And I like that about her character. I do wish that her debut as a writer had a bit more lead up to it. Hikaru had barely a little bit more than her, but still, I do wish that she had a bit more build up to being a writer. And more of that stuff about her wanting to like atone for what I don't want anybody else get hurt by gift like I did and blah blah blah. So again, it's really cool seeing the three of them together. It's not really clear how much longer after last episode this one takes place, and if this is directly, I guess it takes place before Battle of Familia. We're not really sure. I don't know, but yes, that whole thing happens, and the bubble, of course, leaves him and dissipates in these little evil, gross-looking bug things, and they go all over the city, and they're like infecting people and like attacking people. I think some of them get Device, and I want to say that I thought I saw a few of them on the Demon's Driver, but I'm not sure. Um, and uh, Vice keeps hearing Gift's voice saying, "Awaken, demon! Awaken now! Awaken, demon!" Um, and it's starting to piss him off, honestly. So the next thing we get is George leaving Lucky Spa, and Icky like sees it happening as he's coming home for a minute. Him and Vice sees it happening. They're like cleaning up and stuff, and they have a good discussion because Vice is like, "Well, aren't you happy that we defeated him?" He's like, "I guess." He's like, "I just don't know how permanent it is." Like, what do you mean? He's like, "Well, we just sealed him away. Like, I just have this really bad feeling it's not over yet, and I don't want to, I want to do everything I can to stop him." And Vice kind of calms him down and tells him that, like, um, isn't it great that we're not fighting? Because that means that you're not losing your memories. You're not transforming, means you're not losing your memories. And Iggy agrees to an extent, but is still kind of wary about if their solution was permanent. Spoilers, it wasn't. um, but right after this, when George comes out, says he's leaving, and we see that Lovekov, after a fight with some Gift Juniors and stuff, after they notice that the bugs are attacking people from the bubbles or whatever, we see that Lovekov has a little slice on her back, and they think it's a wound. It actually looks like she's like molting her skin, like shedding her snake skin. Um, and we'll get into why that's happening. So we also get a scene with George later on, I think, where he visits his dad's grave and basically just says that he's not gonna like live in his shadow anymore, or be his puppet anymore, and whatever, which would make sense of what we know. Spoilers for Battle Familia and also the Kamen Rider Chimera special, because the uh, Chimera driver or whatever the driver is that they use for that weird different driver that bottle goes in sideways and everything. Um, I believe George is the first one to use it, and he ends up releasing. He tries to transform. He ends up releasing the demon his dad put in him. His dad's demon, whose name is Sheik, and that ends up being the like one of the main villains in the movie. So I wonder if that's what he means, and that's like leading into like this one being the one that's technically before canonically Battle Familia. But anyway, so uh, Kagero insults Daiji and has to switch over during a fight with some of the Gift Juniors and the Giftarians and stuff like that are forming because of the bugs. And Daiji tells them basically to relax and shut up. I just thought was kind of funny. They're a little back and forth now. It's fun because Kagero can kind of be a dick, but knows that like at any time Daiji can just throw him away again. Doesn't want that. So they've kind of had an effect on each other where like he's still able to like push Daiji to like fight hard and like be passionate about fighting when he needs to be, and Daiji's able to kind of like calm Kagero down and kind of like soften him just a little bit. So I kind of like that. Sakura is of course in vain trying to fight without Lovekov because she's worried about Lovekov. And throughout the different like fights in the show in this episode, we see Lovekov's little wound getting bigger, and so they think it's a wound. Again, I don't think it is. I think she's like shedding her skin. There's some stuff we'll get to her later with that. So we also get a good scene with Tamaki, who's still like pining to be a rider. He's talking to Hiromi. He's like, yeah, I wish I could be a rider, but it just didn't work out, blah, blah, blah. And Hiromi's like, well, I guess, I mean, I am too, but I'm kind of glad I'm not always out there. He's like, I'm kind of an old geezer now because of his insides being messed up because of Veil. And he basically tells him, like, it's okay if you're not, but if you still want to help, like, I think that makes sense too. And there's some stuff connected to that for next episode also, which I think would set it up nicely for Battle Familia as well. So I feel like Battle Familia is really set after episode 45, not 44. But anyway, yeah. So George leaves Masumi's mask and a rock at his grave, stating he's done being kept in the palm of his hand, meaning he's like done being in his lab rat, his experiment. He's done with his dad. And I kind of like this for him because I think he's had enough time with Masumi to like first find the first shock of finding out his dad was even alive, and then that the second shock of being in control of Weekend and his part in the whole thing with the Veil special and the driver and Genta and all of that. And that kind of I think was like a big moment for him on top of the big reveal that his dad's own demon is living within him, and that has what's made him a little more eccentric and kind of evil, if you will. And that he feels like that's where all of his genius is, and that's not what it is. I think it just had an effect on his personality and made him like more morally be able to be more morally gray about things because he had Sheik inside of him. So, we also get Vice gets captured by like Gifu, who's like bursting out of the portal and whatever somehow. Of the fucking crucifixion shit we see in Rider sometimes, where like physically, usually, or in Sentai sometimes, physically, like literally on like wooden poles, or like this, where he's just like in the air, psychically being held. Yeah, so Giff basically tries to make Vice his new envoy, and Kagero gets to switch over for control and become Kamen Rider Evil for a bit to fight alongside Ikki, which is really cool to see Kagero again, just in general. I really like his character, and I like him being back and part of things. And it's so ridiculous and over the top, the like goofy emo boy haircut and like, the whole outfit and everything. It's so silly. I love Kagero. But anyway, so he fights, and he actually does a pretty good job fighting some Gutarians and stuff. Eventually gives control back over to Daiji to turn into Kamen Rider Live Evility or whatever it is. And they fight together, defeat some of the minions and everything. And I believe that Vice for a little bit is like fighting them. He's like stopping some of their attacks and stuff like that too. So it's really cool too. Kagero and Daiji are like playfully kind of bantering throughout the fight about who's in control and stuff like that. And again, I just really like their dynamic. Again, after last week's episode, them coming together and Kagero coming back, it's really cool seeing their dynamic. So Daiji and Ikki both use the "we're going all out" because hey, the little thing they do, the thing. They both use that catchphrase as they go after Giff, and doesn't work clearly. And Vice Vice stops it because he has still his own separate driver to go into the final form, so he's still pretty strong on his own. And that's kind of where we leave the episode off. Is like, oh god, what's going to happen? Now, presumably George is probably will most likely work on like a last minute final upgrade of some sort for Revi and Vice. I don't know if it's going to be. People think because Ability is Kagero and Daiji combined. And if you saw from the preview and in general some of the pictures and stuff, Sakura is finally getting her own upgrade. Lovekov is not dying or wounded; she's molting, and when she fully molts, she's going to eventually create this centipede stamp, and it becomes an upgrade final form for Jean, from Kamen Rider Jean. So both of them and like literally the final form literally has like Lovekov's face on the chest and whatever. So both of them have final forms based off of combining their demons with themselves, fully accepting their demons for who they are and themselves, and being okay with that and what have you. Daiji more about like the evil side of himself, and Sakura more about the weaker part of herself, especially with, as evidenced in the episode, with the scenes pretty amusing but still sad too, of Lovekov trying to fight and help even though she really can't because she's supposed to be representative of Sakura's weakness. It presumably George working. It was probably working on something for that, where it'll be a combined Revi and Vice type thing. God, oh God, if you are actually there, John Toei, whoever I need to speak to, please don't let it be this goofy, nearly Reiwa tradition at this point of the final form in the last episode being the base form with like nothing different. We had it with fucking Realizing Hopper. It didn't look any goddamn different from normal fucking Rising Hopper. We had it with Wonder, Almighty, whatever the fuck, in Saber, that last bullshit mode. That was nothing different. I don't understand, and especially from like a toy side of it, it's like, wouldn't you want another form to sell a toy of? You know what I mean? I just don't really understand, but whatever. Especially because we've gotten final form cool things, like even in Saber, like even with all the like goofiness about Saber and how much I don't like it sometimes, or bits of it, Cross Saber is a cool form, and Cross Saber featuring with his book, Rentaro's book, and Kento's book is super cool. I love that, but they don't ever use it. Anyway. So I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping it's some combined of, Ultimate Vice and Ultimate Revi together into Ultimate Revice, and it's, something like that, and it's not a repaint of the barely nothing, probably not just the base form with like a tiny thing different, like his thumb is blue now or some silly shit. So again, doesn't matter because this episode was decent. It was a nice little building up of the conflict here that Giff is not done, that he's trying to work his way into having Vice be his like main villainous side of him, or villainous general, whatever. I think with Oteka being back in it and clearly showing up in Battle Familia, whatever he does in it, I don't know. I haven't read all the spoilers for that. I hope that Oteka has a part in things here in the end. I don't think he needs to become a writer, but if he does, an evil writer would be fine. I also, for the love of God, for the love of Toei, for the love of Kami-sama, whatever, don't redeem him. Let him just be an evil dickhead psychopath. And that's it. It's okay. He can just be evil and die evil and be dead evil, and it's okay. Evil dead. Like, I like the movie. Anyway. So next episode, score-wise, probably close to like a 9-ish out of 10. It wasn't like, or maybe like an 8.5, 8.5. Wasn't like a perfect episode, but it wasn't like a letdown by any means. Definitely was pushing the storylines along. But yes, next episode we see Sakura is getting her final form with Lovekov and using the centipede stamp, and it looks like Hikaru is still like healing after using all the genomics at one point, 4 at the same time, and he seemingly is giving his driver and the stamp to be over demons, the Kabuto stamp or whatever, over to Tamaki. And I have my notes here. Says Hikaru seemingly gives his driver and stamp to Tamaki because he's too injured to fight. Please die. So, yes, interesting developments, and we only have a few episodes left now. We're into the last stretch of 4, the home stretch of 4 episodes, 46, 47, I guess 5. 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. It's supposed to be 50 episodes. 50th anniversary, 50 episodes. So, like I said, I think right now, Revice is in a really good, it's gotten out of its slump entirely, and it's in a really good place. I think the narrative's picking up really nicely. I think the characters are being, please God, they've come back to have better writing now. And overall, it's starting to just be really super entertaining again, and fun, and like bombastic, and what it was before. I do think, like I said, that once Oteka was out of the picture, that the whole stuff with Akaishi and Daiji and all that kind of dragged on way too long. They could have cut it down by like 3 episodes. And again, pacing wise, I really think they should have introduced Akaishi way earlier in the series. I'm not saying they need to do the Veil miniseries before the series ever showed, like before, Revice ever aired, but something to let us know about Akaishi at all before we eventually see him, because then we're supposed to just see him as this, like, crazy threat and be, totally taken off guard by him, but it's like, he's just Looney Tunes the character of the villain. Like, yeah, sure, Snidely Whiplash. Like, anyway, so overall, still really enjoying Revice. I think it's still going to crack its way into my top 5 for sure. But let me know in the comments below. What did you guys think of this week's episode? Did you love the episode and the setup for what we're getting next week? Did you hate it? Were you in the middle? How do you feel about what they're doing with GIF taking over Vice? Clearly it's going to stop next episode because we see Ivility Live, Ultimate Revy and Vice, and Lovekov and her, like John and her final form all fighting together. So clearly they break him out of it somehow, but still, what do you guys think about that and what they're doing with it? Yeah, so like I said, that's how I feel about the episode and all that stuff. Coming up this week, I'm definitely going to be reviewing Down Brothers 21. Probably on episode 21 now, or 22, whatever it is. Anyway, and I'm probably going to try and get some content out. I was trying to get some stuff out about. I have a video idea about how much I love Knights of the Republic, the original Knights of the Republic game. And also a second video about KOTOR 2 and why you should play it and not have skipped it like many of you did back in the day, including myself, but I've rectified that. I also plan on doing a review soon once I finish it of Chroma Squad. And kind of giving my thoughts on that. I recently got it as a gift from my good friend Ballin on Twitter, and it's really, really fun. It's like basically a like Sentai / Power Rangers or tactical RPG. Like you can just like name your team whatever you want. You get to put all the like titles in there of their attacks, transformations, blah blah blah. You don't get to design their suits, but you get to do that at least, and it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. It's so bombastic and colorful and awesome. So anyway, look out for that review soon. I know it's a game review. It's a little different from what I usually do, but I used to do it back in the day when it was just a Let's Play channel. So, but anyway, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, commenting, all that good stuff. Until next time, stay hooked on them henshin. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.